I think people just assume, hey, one thing is good or bad. They want to put just a black and white picture in it, and it's
Yes.
man, it's
I
too
love
much.
that. I
Yeah,
love that you said that.
dude. I think we're at this weird time where just we're in this. I think it's a Hulk verbiage like carbs bad and
Yeah.
protein good, Hulk smash, and it's
That's
it's
great.
it's just not that simple, man.
What's up, y'all? Back here with another LT360 podcast. You know me, I'm D Foss, and I'm here with someone who I actually am meeting for the first time, which is always fun for me. Love doing this. This is someone who reached out via Instagram, and we've just connected a little bit here and there, and been following each other's journey for a little while. And he is a newer health coach. He's newer into the industry. And he's out in Northern California in the Bay Area. So on two opposite ends of the country, which is always cool as well. And I'm excited to have him on here. I think he's going to have a lot of great points. He is Thomas Hogan, the founder, the owner of Thomas Hogan Health. You can always find him at those locations on Instagram, Facebook, all of that, and thomashoganhealth.com. So make sure you reach out and look into it, and then we'll get into this. So thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And I didn't even ask, do you like going by Thomas or Tom? Which do you like?
Dude, classic question.
Yeah.
Let's go Thomas. Let's keep it professional.
Thomas. All right. Coach T, do you get Coach T?
I get Coach T. I get Tommy.
Tommy.
I want to transition to a Tom, but I think it's too late to do that, man.
It's never too late, bro. You got many years ahead. Speaking of which, how old are you? I don't know if that matters or doesn't matter, but I don't know.
I'm 73 next year.
Wow, dude. You look fantastic.
Yeah, it's the protein or something. No, it's 30 years old, man. 30
Okay.
years.
All right, cool. I'm 26. I'll be 27 in December. So yeah, man. So obviously it's always cool just understanding that, someone who's 30 years old obviously didn't just come out of the womb and decide like I'm going to be a health coach. They went through something, right? So it seems like you got to about 28 years old before you were like, I don't know if this is what I want to be doing and I'm going to transition. So you're newer to the industry. I was lucky enough to find it earlier. I was in college, I was in high school when I realized I wanted to get into kind of like healthcare. So I'm definitely interested to hear your story, man. Like, did you grow up in Northern California?
Yeah, dude. So great question. And thanks for having me on, first of all. I think so yeah, I was born in Northern California, so Bay Area, Concord, if anyone's listening. But yeah, shout out Concord. Hey, all great. Yeah, so I was an athlete growing up. I was actually super into baseball, and I was like, hey, dude, I'm gonna make the pros. I'm feeling good. I'm pitching. I was a pitcher because I couldn't hit, man. I don't know. I tried everything. I could not hit. But I had a decent arm on me. So I played a bunch in high school, got recruited to a junior college, and ended up going to another 4-year college and playing there. And when you get to college, they always ask you, hey, what's your major, man? You got to pick a major. You can't just be undecided. And I was like, shoot. So I always liked the human body. I was like, hey, what can I do outside of the field to improve my body? So I was like, hey, let's learn about it. So that was kind of my baby steps into the kinesiology field. That was my first degree, actually.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was cool, man.
Love that. So when you played college baseball for how long?
Technically it was 6 years. 6 years.
Damn. So where did you go after? Because obviously you played junior college ball, so you could only stay there for a max of 2 years, correct?
Correct.
So you got your associates in kinesiology. How did that work out? What happened? Where did you
Yeah.
transition?
So I actually got an associate's in humanities, which was still that undecided. I think I just picked one off the sheet.
Cool.
Um, and then I knew a couple coaches at a school called Cal State East Bay,
Cool.
and got in there and got to play there, which was such a good experience. Just I think sports have a really big impact on your social skills, teamwork, communication, all these things, which is super beneficial. Love the time. And then there did come to a time where I was like, you know what, I'm not performing well, and ultimately you do have to
Hang up
say,
the cleats.
yeah, you gotta hang them up.
Yeah.
You gotta hit the showers, man. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I can relate to that. So I was planning on going to school for being a nurse, and then I basically decided last minute. So I was applying to all these big schools: Coastal Carolina, Tampa, UCF, um, other schools down here in Florida, because I already had a sister that had moved down here when I was in high school. And then I had a sister that moved down here when I was a freshman. So it was this interesting, like I had this interesting relationship with like wanting to leave where I was and go south. And I always thought North Carolina, South Carolina, or Florida was like, those are the destinations. So I was thinking big school, and I even applied to like URI, the State University of Rhode Island, and and then I ended up, one of my best friends, actually both of my best friends at the time, one went to a school in Massachusetts near Boston to go play baseball, and the other one went to a school in like Western Massachusetts to go play football. So I was like, like, they weren't like the best performing people on the field, right? They weren't like the most amazing athletes, but they were pursuing going to play their sports. And I was a basketball player, and uh, I was arguably, one of the best on our team, especially my senior year. And I love basketball. It's my life, for so much of my life. So I was like, I got to pursue this. I want to go. And then I realized the school I was going to go to didn't really have anything that I like really wanted to do. I didn't want to do nursing anymore. And I realized all they had was like health sciences. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll just do that, right? Like human body's cool. Like my sister had studied kinesiology at URI. So I loved the idea of like, how can I learn more the same exact way you did? And it paid off. I ended up doing a year there, and I played 1 year there. I transferred to where my other friend went to go play baseball.
Nice.
And yeah, so interestingly enough, and then I didn't make the team the first year there. And I was never over the top good. I was playing Division 3, right? So it wasn't like I was going anywhere with it, but I loved it, right? It was my passion. So just the idea of being able to play was so much. And I'm sure like you find it meditative, right? You're on the mound, you're not thinking about anything else, right? There's nothing else on your mind except like me and this hitter are going mano a mano, and like I gotta try to figure out what he's thinking, and I gotta see if he's thinking that I'm gonna throw a curveball, so he naturally thinks, oh well, then he's probably gonna throw a fastball. And then you're thinking, well, I'm gonna throw a fastball, so then yeah, I should throw a curveball, and then boom, you got him, right? And it's like, and I pitched. I played baseball. That was my first thing, from like 5 to 13. I was extremely good. I was always playing older age groups, and then once we got to the bigger field, I was no longer big enough for, I couldn't keep up at that point. And so I stopped playing through high school, and then my senior year, all my friends were playing baseball, so I ended up playing. My football coach was the baseball coach, and he
Ooh.
saw me pitching. You'll appreciate this. So I'm sure you did the same thing. In Northern California, it's still relatively cold in the winter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the baseball team would practice in the gym for like an hour, right? And they'd have like long toss and they'd play catch and they'd practice ground balls and stuff like that with other things, making sure not to like damage the basketball floor or whatever. But that was what you could do because it was too early, right? It was too early to go outside. It was like snowing out. So my best friend was the catcher, the one that I ended up going to college with, right? And I start throwing to him in the gym and he's like, let me get down. And I start pitching and I'm just like lacing them in there. Boom, boom, boom. And yeah. So I hadn't played in a lot of years, but I was really good as a young kid. I finally hit a growth spurt in the middle of high school. So like I caught back up, but I didn't play anymore. And then I was pitching and the coach walks in and he's like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? Like, you didn't tell me you could throw like this. He was like, you don't have a choice. You're pitching for me this year. And I was like, I can't hit for shit. So like, I'm not, it's so literally the same exact thing. I no longer was really playing, like all the positions that I loved to play as a kid. I would pitch, I'd catch, I'd play second, shortstop, first base, center field. I played all of it, but I ended up just my senior year of high school being a pitcher. So I can relate to that in a sense, but it's cool that you agree, like you had the ability to, or the foresight to say, well, I know that I want to be a better athlete. Let me learn more about my body so that I can progress and get there. And it definitely showed for me, and I'm sure it did for you as you got into like your third, fourth year of actually studying that stuff. You probably started to realize like, oh, I have an upper hand on some of the people on my team, and not like I'm going to use that against them. Like I'm going to try to help them, but you had a better understanding of how your body worked, why it worked that way, what the little aches and pains were. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the more I got into it, the more I used it. I kept
Yeah.
thinking the classic line for baseball was like, "Hey, it's 80% mental." Because even if you're hitting, dude, most of the time you're gonna fail. You know this.
Yeah.
But that
If you
20%, I
hit
was like,
300, you're an all-star,
you're a Hall of Famer. You're a Hall of
Yeah,
Famer.
yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that 20%, which is physical, I was like, let's control all I can control with that.
Mhm.
And let's see how that gets me. So I was doing everything from like anatomy and physiology to biomechanics. It was just almost overwhelming. I was like, shoot, like I would look at the pros and like kind of research on what they're doing,
Yeah.
and they would get like massage work, just have a personal trainer with them, or like even a nutrition coach, all this stuff. And I was like, dang. So I was like super dedicated, and I was like, dude, every meal would either um,
Fuel
be
performance or inhibit it. Yeah.
yeah, be good or bad for me. I was like, man, I have to have this really good meal. I don't care what it tastes like.
Yeah.
I just plug my nose and sometimes whatever. Um, I'm
Yeah.
like, as long as it helps me get to that next level, I'm all for it. Yeah.
Valid, dude. And it's funny because like at a certain point, especially at that age, right? We're like 20 years old, 21. You're like, I need to control everything, right? And especially when, yeah. And I'm definitely, you definitely then all of a sudden, you still think you can like maintain that going into the real world all of a sudden. And then it's like, you got to give up on that, man. You can control what you can control. And that's very little in actual relation to what's going on around you. And you shouldn't try to control everything as well, because you become like this neurotic person of sorts, right? And it's it's good to demand a lot of yourself and to feel like you hold yourself to a higher standard, right? But yeah, there's definitely a pitfall and a downfall, because I could absolutely tell you that I would eat till I was extremely over the top full, because I was like, I'm so small. I need to eat. Like, I need fuel. And like, I burned 4,000 calories in the last 3 hours at practice. Like, I have to eat, but I don't even want to. Like, but it's a job. It's a job of sorts, right? And you get stuck in that role and that mentality. and it's interesting to play with at the time, but then to look back on and be like, wow, I thought that was the world. I thought that was everything, right?
Yeah.
So now when you went to, that was a 4-year college, right? Where you went, it was North Cal East Bay or Cal
Uh,
State East Bay.
yeah. So it's the CSU, so California State University East Bay.
Cool.
Um, it's a D2. I was like,
Sweet.
hey,
That was my
I'm
next question. Yeah.
I'm gonna get more playing time if I go that route. Because I know I wasn't um like beyond elite. I wasn't pumping 95 or anything. I hit 90 like twice, which was cool, but it was hard, man. I
Yeah,
think
no, it's a
I
lot.
thought it's kind of, yeah. And
What was
honestly,
your pitch? If it wasn't like an overpowering fastball, what was your pitch?
it was so I did have a good curveball in high school, and then in college I got a changeup, a circle change. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's easier on your arm than a curveball. So man, I don't know, something just stuck there, and it was killer, man. I'd throw that anytime I could though.
Cool. That was your go-to, like 3-2 count. I'm throwing a change, circle change.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. What about you? You said you were a pitcher. What was your repertoire?
Yeah, so I actually just had a lot of natural movement on my two seam.
Ooh, perfect. Perfect. That's
So
all.
yeah, so especially against like a lefty, I could throw that on the outside corner and it would just tail away from him. Yeah, so I loved throwing a two seam. And I just naturally had like a little bit of enough of an angle here for it
Ooh,
to have a little bit of tail whip to it.
really?
So that was, I mean, I would like to say I was just very controlled in where I put the ball.
Hmm.
So I didn't have an overpowering curveball. I didn't really throw one. Um, I just got people out, man. I didn't
Yeah.
necessarily strike everybody out, but I would just paint the ball where I wanted to, and I wasn't overpowering either. I was 5'11", 135 pounds when I graduated high school, so I was I wasn't overpowering anybody. I was a string bean, and people look at me now and tell me I'm a string bean. I'm like, you don't even know. I weighed 35 pounds less than I do right now, almost 40. So it's funny because I definitely wasn't, like I said, overpowering. I just had a lot of control. I kept it mostly four seam, two seam. And I loved to throw a knuckleball every once in a while. I grew up loving to throw a knuckleball. I always tried, dude. Like wiffle ball didn't matter. Tennis, playing with the tennis ball in the backyard. So I would whip that out every once in a while.
Yeah. Would that be dude, first of all, congratulations on being on like a control person. I feel like we need more of the people just like not overpowering, but that's what I liked. I feel like it was like a dartboard kind of
Yeah, yeah, it was like a dartboard.
you're getting right there.
Mhm.
Dude, how often would you say you threw the knuckleball? Was it every game or just random on you?
Um, yeah, I probably tried it every time I went out there. Especially if I got into like 3, 4, 5 innings.
Okay.
Yeah, if I got into, if I got through the roster,
Roster, yeah,
yeah, if I
nice.
got through the roster, I definitely pulled it out.
What's the sign for knuckleball? Do you remember?
Um, I don't remember
Oh,
actually. That's a good question. I
no
know
worries.
one was four seam, two was two seam.
Yeah.
Um, I was trying to learn a changeup, and I could like throw it, but it wasn't consistent, um, and it didn't have like a drop off at the end, so it was pretty much just a slower four seam.
All good. All good. No
And
worries.
then yeah, so it was either three or four. It was either three or four. I don't know. I don't
All right.
remember.
All
Maybe
good.
I'll ask my boy. He was the catcher. He'll remember.
There you go. Okay. That's his job. That's his job.
Yeah, yeah, that's his job. I just nope. Yes, no. I
Yeah,
remember the game though. I remember the game I was facing. It was like our second to last game of senior year, and was facing the power hitter on the other team from a private school that ended up winning the state championship that year. So we're playing pretty much the best team in the state. And I am facing their number 4 cleanup hitter. And it was the 4th or 5th inning. So I had thrown a good amount of pitches, and I'm like, all right, I got like a 2-2 count. I'm going to try to just overpower this kid. And I remember like, all right, I'm going low and outside, and I just let the ball go, and my shoulder was just like, and I was like, oh gosh. I was like, no. I just went like this, and I just called the coach out. I was like, something happened. I'm done. I was like, I tried that whole count. Like every time I threw the fastball, I was trying to overpower him, and I was late, and we were late in the season. We were injured. We didn't have a lot of pitchers. Like I was just trying to maintain as long as I could and get through as many innings as possible. I'd thrown a lot of pitches, and I just let it go. And I was like, oh no, that's it. I don't know if I can do it again.
Dude, I feel that pain, man. I feel that pain, definitely. Yeah.
Not fun, but all right. Look, back to you though, dude. So let's dive in. Like you are there playing for 4 years, right? You started more into was your actual bachelor's in kinesiology? Was it in health sciences, exercise phys? What was it?
Yeah. I know they give you a bunch of options. I think one was nutrition, one was exercise phys, and mine was actually physical education, because I was like, dude, nothing wrong with being a PE teacher. Like I think at that point I was like, man, maybe I could help other people, even at a young age. Yeah, especially kids, like get them young, get them knowing about nutrition, or be drinking water, any little thing like that. So I was like, you know what? Let's do that. Let's do that one, because I don't know. I felt kind of a calling there. Like the nutrition thing, I was like, I don't want to really just base my whole career on like protein, carbs, and fats. And I think people get too deep in that, and they're like, all these little micronutrients you have to, and I was like, I don't know about that. But
I can relate.
Yeah. And then like exercise phys was like just too much. I think I took one anatomy and physiology class, and it was good, but I think it was very hard for me. I was like, shoot, I want to avoid those classes. So I'm glad I've got through it, but
that is so baseball bro of you. If I can say that, it's like hard classes, I'm out, bro. Sign me up for something easier.
It did not resonate with me. Let me avoid that whole curveball. So just ease around that one. But I think I got out of there with like a C+, so I'm glad I passed. So it was
So your degree was physical education. Did you start teaching when you graduated?
I actually started right when I started my master's program, actually. So
which was in? What'd you get your master's in?
That was in holistic health.
Beautiful, love that.
Yeah, it was very cool. And that kind of, I kept thinking like, hey, after I graduated, I think I was still working at Starbucks or something because my friend worked there. I was like, I need some money now, dude.
Yeah, of course.
Come on, help me out. And I was like, man, I was looking for other routes to further my education, because I felt like, all right, I learned the basics, like a little bit about teaching, a little bit about the human body, but there was so much more. I was like, dude, give me more of this. So right when I enrolled in my master's program, which was at John F. Kennedy University, and that was right in my.
Where's that?
It's right in my hometown, so still in Concord.
Shout out Concord.
Yeah, shout out Tom Hanks. He's our one guy we get out of Concord.
Okay. Tom Hanks is from there.
Yeah, not random
That's
at
cool.
all. Yeah, we got to. So I enrolled in that, and right when I got that got enrolled, I actually got a position as a physical education teacher, which I was like, dude, everything's working out. I love it. Hey, I'll be a teacher for 20, 30 years. And I think that first 2 weeks was hard, man, of being a teacher. And it you never really think you're gonna be the teacher. You always
Yeah.
and you're like,
point.
shoot. Yeah, that just switched. And I was young then, so I was about like 26, 27 right there. And it was cool. Honestly, loved it. Great experience. Great way of like learning communication between like education and just one-on-one people, like working with younger age groups. And this was a high school as well, so they weren't like real little, and they knew a couple bad words, and I learned that quick. And it's so I taught for a year, and it was awesome because I could get kids out moving. And I tried to do little lessons, and I actually gave tests on just, hey, again, like I said, like nutrition stuff, hydration stuff, and even like social skills, because I think having a good community just helps us with lifelong quality living, pretty much. So yeah, I did that. Honestly, great experience, but there were times where, hey, you think you're gonna just give up, but it was good. It was good either way.
Okay, so then you did that. You're 26. You're going through the process of becoming a teacher, and you are one, learning how to be the best version of that. What changed? What did you go into next? Are you still there? What shifted? What's the dealio?
So I taught in Richmond, which was closer to Concord. And my wife, she's a nurse, so she got a job way over in another city. So we're like, man, we got to move. We can't commute all this way. They offered me a position back to stay, but I was like, you know what? I've had enough. I think it was good. It was a good run, but I think I was on to different things. I was like, you know what? I learned a lot there, and I thought physical education was like the thing, but the retention on the stuff I was giving wasn't like the best. Because hey, you and I know when you're in high school, you're like PE, okay, you're playing basketball, playing games, yeah, you love it, but you're not trying to learn anything. This is the anti-learn.
Yeah, this is the anti-learn 50 minutes of the day.
Yeah, this is a recess for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that kind of shifted, and I was like, I was also still in that master's program, and they had a holistic health coach option as well, which it's kind of weird, but I did not take. Even as a health coach now, I didn't actually pursue the coaching route at my school.
Do you wish you did?
I ask myself that sometimes. I think it would have costed a little bit more, but but we were also like kind of forced to take the 3 coaching classes either way.
Okay.
So I got a bunch out of
exposed to it. Yeah.
And got a chance to like do group coaching and one-on-one. And the one-on-one I really like, just because you got that time to really dive deep on what the person's problems are, what their struggles are, and then kind of finding a solution in that. But yeah, in that time of me, sorry, going rambling a little bit, but
no, you're good.
When I quit the job as a teacher, there was about a year or 2 year gap of me not having a job. And like, um, that was a big time as well, because I was I thought I knew what I wanted to do, but I had the tools. I had the utility belt full of all these options. I just had to dive in. So that's when I think it was like right before COVID where I saw some stuff about health coaching. Um, and I saw this thing called Primal Health Coach. Uh,
Oh,
and dude, I was like, hey, let's dive on in that. And um, that's kind of where the story sort
begins.
of, yeah, that's how.
Okay. So primal health coaching. I want to learn more. What's the premises? What's the basis of that?
Yeah, definitely. So what they taught me was basically kind of the ancestral ways of living, like um, eating whole natural foods and
Mm,
stuff that comes in nature, not just a bunch of processed stuff. Um, Getting out in the sunlight, being connected with the earth, having a tribe, having people around you to support you, and even like fasting at sometimes, because back in the day, um, like you would go out and hunt, but there would be a couple days or 3 days, 4 days, a week that you wouldn't see food. So I
mhm.
think incorporating all that, and even uh, the one thing I really like is having fun. Like what they didn't always just work all day like we kind of do now in our society. We're 9 to 5, 5 days a week, probably more now. And they really embedded the vision of having fun, like going out and playing a game with your friends, and like having a game that you just create, being having that creative idea of, hey, here's a ball, let's kick it around. Here's a rock, let's see how far we can throw it. Little stuff
Yeah.
like that.
I like that. Um, and I tell myself all the time I wish I did more of it. Definitely.
Def-
Um, yeah, and it's something that we've definitely lost. I know myself, like I was literally about to make a video about this the other day. Just the idea of being able to take like a 15-20 minute window and just go outside. Like for me, I like shoot around and then do some like body weight calisthenics exercises, maybe do some sprints, right? And it's like, bro, those 25 minutes are so much more productive, fun, and energizing than 25 minutes I've ever spent inside of the gym walls lifting
yeah.
weights. And
So
it's crazy um how especially just the idea of like being out in nature and utilizing and being out in the sun, like it is energy, right? The sun is the largest form of energy that we have, and it's literally radiating in on us. And unfortunately we've gotten this, like, you can really dive down this rabbit hole, right? That the sun's going to kill you and it's going to cause all these things. And I'm a firm believer that and it'd be interesting to hear your perspective, or if you've ever thought of this, what the food you eat becomes your new cells, right? So your skin is actually the outermost layer of your skin is just the food that you've eaten over the last 30 days, because every month we pretty much shed,
oh, yep.
right?
So
So um if you've eaten uh MSG and GMO filled, pesticide filled processed foods out of a plastic container, then your skin is a whole bunch of chemical compounds that don't have a good relationship with the sun.
yep.
So yes, if you're out in the sun for 3 hours and you are just not being smart about how long you're out in the sun for, and you have a whole bunch of terrible toxins running through your body, or like actually being used to make up your skin cells, then those skin cells are highly reactive to the radiation from the sun. That, to me, not negating or saying like people don't get skin cancer, or that it's not valid and that we shouldn't pay attention to it, and that, sunscreen is the devil and all those things. But I just think people get caught up in like the idea of that sometimes too much, and like get really scared of the sun. And I
Yeah.
just try to remind my friends and my clients and my patients, like, the sun is good. You don't have to go sit
Yeah.
in it for 3 hours, but you need to get out in it, and it's energizing. It's powerful. It is a good thing that we need to be exposed to.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You hit it right on the head. I think I used to just like, even playing baseball, dude, just lathering up everything, man, neck, my and at a young age, I was kind of put in that fear-based mode where I'm like, sun is bad, too much is bad,
Yeah.
and there is a point. I mean, that's real. Skin cancer is real.
Yeah, absolutely.
No way of like dismissing that, but there's a balance to it, obviously. Hey, 20, 30 minutes out there a day, man, I
Yeah.
wish I could do that every day. I'm trying my best, even just a little bit, and I feel energized anytime I do that. Maybe on a lunch
Mhm.
break, just walking out, um, taking some time just to reset. That's kind of a form of my meditation, even getting some really clean air as well. I think when we're inside, our air's, yeah, it's not the best, but it feels nice. Hey, you're comfy inside, but hey, it's
Yeah.
winter time right now, so I love the the rain air. It's beautiful, but the sun, dude, it just keeps us going, I feel like.
Yeah, that's a good point. I definitely want to hear more about what you learned. So you hit on these like four principles, right? Eat good, clean food that comes from the earth.
Yeah,
Um, Create a tribe or have some semblance of community, right? Get outside, be in nature. And then you said one more, I believe.
have fun.
Have fun. Well, and movement too, right?
Movement, yeah.
Movement, fasting. All right, so there's more, right? There's
It's a
fasting,
lot.
there's movement, and there's have fun. Which I would tie the have fun into like community, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's like socialness.
Hmm.
Um, so if it's fast, eat clean, nature-based food, it's have a community and have fun. It's move around and get out into nature, right?
Hmm.
Um, if you had to break down each one, and um, let's start with fasting, for example. If you had to give somebody who's like, I need to know 3 important facts about fasting, or 3 important keys and tips for fasting, what do they need to know?
Yeah, so true. Dude, fasting is the easiest thing to do if you're trying to improve your health.
Mhm.
Besides sleeping, sleeping is another thing,
Yep.
but fasting, we every day we fast, right? So we go to bed, we don't eat.
Yeah.
It's only those people who get up in the middle of the night to have some peanut butter or something like that. This doesn't relate to, but everyone else we fast, man. Um, and I think when we have those regular meals every day, the breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we never really give our uh, digestive system a break.
Mhm.
So just thinking about all the energy we put into digesting food, having it go through our intestines, all this stuff, and what uh, what really came to my mind when I started fasting was, well, what if we use that energy for other things? So if we halt the digestive process a little bit, maybe my brain can work a little bit better, maybe my muscles can work a little bit better, and it turns out that's true. So the first thing um, I would highlight for fasting is just our mental state, our cognitive performance actually gets enhanced if we take a little bit of a break from eating. So that's the first big thing. And the second thing is very easy to do. Even if you sleep for 8 hours, um, you can add that to your fast. Maybe have dinner a little bit earlier, maybe have breakfast a little later, depending on whatever your schedule is. There's always a way kind of around it. Again, you can have a bunch of water, have some coffee, tea, just nothing in them. It's not just about, hey, you have to do a 16 8-hour fast, which is kind of the common way to do it.
Intermittent fasting.
Yeah, the intermittent fasting. And there's so many ways. I won't kind of take too much time on that. But what's also good is like a 24-hour fast, which is, it's hard to do. You're not just going to wake up one day and say, I'm fasting for 24 hours. That's
nothing.
Man, good luck if you can do that. But that is hard to do.
Yeah. What's the longest fast you've ever done?
Good question. I was about like 42 hours. I've only done it once.
Okay.
It was
okay.
That's a rough one. Yeah.
Yes. I
It
can
is.
definitely attest to that.
Yeah. I was like, dude, I was drinking a bunch of coffee because that kind of disrupts my appetite, I think, and kind of keeps me full-ish.
Yeah,
But
it's appetite suppressant, right? So it takes away the ghrelin hormone neurotransmitter and ability for those two to meet and then tell your brain like, oh, I need food, or nutrients, right? In that sense. So the longest fast I did was 5 days. It was a Monday through Friday.
dude, way to go. Holy cow.
It's fucking hard.
Holy cow. Dude,
water only. And the only thing I did was add salt to the water. That was it. Himalayan pink sea salt.
Yeah.
So I actually ate on Sunday night and I didn't eat till Friday night.
Dude, that is awesome.
It was torturous. I wish I had the ability to do it more though. Like I wish I could not the ability, but I wish I had the desire and like the fortitude to just be like, oh, like, let me do that again, like very easily.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, fasting regularly isn't for everybody, but I think people should dabble with it.
Yeah.
Right. So like females, especially younger females that are athletes, definitely don't throw that out there. Like, you should try fasting because they have like terrible relationship with food most of the time already. And then I always tell people the biggest reason I think they should do it, or like the selling point, is that like we naturally did that for a lot of years, right? Like you mentioned prior, is that it was a natural part of life for a long period of time. And the second selling point is that I don't always go straight to the digestion. Like you give your digestion a break, like you said. I bypass that a little bit and I say, because your energy is not being used to break down food, your energy is being used to negate and get out toxins and cells, bad cells. So not that like performance levels will go up, because I don't think enough people will be like, oh, all right, well, I'm gonna do that, right? Because they're like, well, fuck you, I'll just have another thing of coffee. I feel good after I drink coffee, so why not? And so I tend to go to, it's one of the very few things that does what we call apoptosis, right? So it actually finds damaged cells and it just automatically kills them and then gets rid of them. So I try to sell people on that, because I am a firm believer that it's something that we should dabble with, everybody. I used to, like, for the year of 2020, every week I did like Saturday to Sunday 24-hour fast.
Okay.
So that was a big thing. I liked doing that a lot. I tried at the beginning of 21 to be like I definitely haven't practiced it as much recently in the last year and a half, 2 years. 2018 to 2020, I was like very consistent with trying it. And I did that big one at the beginning of the year, which was 5. It was literally January 1st to January 5th or whatever.
Holy cow.
And it was crazy. I lost a bunch of weight. I was working full days. So I was still doing a lot of clients, personal training, and like by the time Friday came around, I was like, yeah, so
For
yeah,
you,
it was
how are
yeah,
you?
it was funny because like day one was fine. I had done that a bunch of times. Day two, later in the day, I was like, "Ugh, okay, like
Yeah.
normal fatigue. Middle of day three was still feeling extremely fatigued. End of day three started to like get a little energy. Day four
Really?
felt energized. Like day four was probably the easiest day. And then I woke up on day five and I felt good. And like by the time 10 a.m. hit, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And like 10 a.m. till I ate that meal was insane. I was so lethargic and just like so bewildered. like just I had to be so low energy because I didn't have anything left in the tank. And at that point, I started to like my brain started to be like, okay, well, I've clearly like cleaned out, right? I've clearly gotten things out, and now my body actually does need to start building back up. It's actually telling me that based on my energy levels that I need something to start building back up, and to maintain some level of performance. So I got like miso soup and added some like basic vegetables to it, and
Oh,
it was good, clean, easy, and it was funny. Within like 10 minutes, I was filled. I was like, "Whoa, I'm so
oh,
full! Like I can't even fit more in here." So it was an interesting thing, and I'm glad you brought it up because it is a great talking point, and it's interesting and it's cool. I love that you learned that in the world of holistic health. Because I think it's a huge part of it. It's like you said, it's the easiest way for us to improve our health in a lot of ways. And you said, well, besides sleep, but you'll notice that if you fast, you'll sleep better, right? So they are very coinciding. So
did
that's
you
awesome.
yeah, did you initially think like, hey, I'm gonna go out there and just try a 5-day fast?
Yeah,
Right?
that was the
Yeah,
goal.
dude, way to
Yeah.
go. And then right before that, were you like practicing a little bit of fasting, like one day, like a 24
I
hour?
I was doing like 36 pretty regularly. I would go from Saturday night to Monday morning.
Dude, way to go. That's awesome. Heck
Thank you. Yeah. No, I definitely see the value in it. I used to like going back to like the neurotic crazy, like I want to be in control of everything. The
yeah.
first time I did a fast, I like really challenged myself. I went I took a yoga class. So I ate on Saturday night. I went Sunday morning and took a yoga class at this like special event inside of a mall. And then I literally sat in the food court and worked on my laptop for like 6 hours and then went home, didn't eat the rest, like didn't eat while I was in the food court at all, just had water.
Right.
Went home, worked a little bit on the computer, didn't do anything, woke up the next morning and ate.
Okay.
And it was fun for me, like being able to try to like put yourself in a really hard situation. Dude, you talk about like sense overload. You're in a food court, you're
Uh,
just smelling
just
everything.
smelling, man.
Yeah, yeah. You
Good
and
for you.
Panda Express and
All right. The
Pizza
good
Hut. It was crazy.
Hey, way to go, man. That's awesome. I
Thank
think,
you.
yeah, dude, fasting is so good. I just like you said, it's not for everyone too. Um, I think people should dabble with it, just like you said, and try it out every once in a while. I
Mhm.
think people who like, well, if it works for you, fasting every day, definitely do that. But it's just about trying different things, little things like that, and
Yeah,
yeah, trying the 24-hour fast. See if you can do it. It's kind of challenging in itself, and it's kind of a um,
it's
I think
rewarding.
it is, man. It's like, we challenge ourselves in the gym, we challenge ourselves with the food and stuff, but what about the mind? Can we you can't really solve the brain, but we
No,
can we can
we
challenge
can
it.
understand it more. Yeah,
Yeah,
at least
exactly.
our own, right, like intuition and feelings. Cool. I love that. All right, let's talk. Well, where do you focus? You meet somebody, right? So now you're working Thomas Hogan Health. You're doing one-on-one coaching, mostly virtually and online.
Mostly virtually, yeah.
Cool. So you are getting in contact with people, right? You are trying to help this person holistically, overall, as a system, as a person. Um, you're teaching them those 5 things we talked about, right? Like fasting, when you're not fasting, eating good, clean, whole foods from the earth, being out in nature and being in the earth, having fun, having a community, right? And just movement, right? Like exercise. You're not diving extremely deep into any one of those areas, I would assume.
No, yeah, just seeing what they need typically. Honestly, most people come to me, and the big thing is really time management with them, or just like prioritizing what they need. And they say, "Hey, Tommy, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds." And I was like, "Great, perfect. How long have you been trying? What have you been trying?" And we literally give them an action, like 2 or 3 action steps every week, just
Cool.
saying, "Hey, let's try waiting for breakfast another hour. See what works for them. Let's try hydrating a little bit more. Let's try getting outside just for 20 minutes. You don't need to go to the gym. You don't need a gym membership.
Yeah.
You can make all these things easier to grab, low hanging fruit, real easy things to do. And that's kind of how I initially get them in. And then over the course of coaching every week or every other week, I kind of take what they need. Like if someone's super good at nutrition, I'm not even going to touch that. I'm going to tell them about getting out, spending time with friends and family. Because, dude, we're trying to live a good quality life, and we can eat the best food ever and work out all the time. But if we don't have anyone to share it with, man,
Yeah,
it's that's
lonely.
a hard life. Yeah.
So, all right, I want to dive in. You're married, all right? How did you meet your wife?
Dude, met her on the app. You probably never heard of it. Never heard. It's called Tinder.
Oh my gosh, no way.
No, dude,
I've never heard of that. What is it?
this new one. Wow, just
Cool.
so
Interesting. I
yeah,
love
dude.
that.
Yeah,
And
great
how
question.
old were you guys when you met?
So I was what was that now? I was 26, and she
Wow.
is 3 years younger, so she was 23. But
Cool.
no,
So you're
it's
73 now. You were 26 when you met her. So you've been together for 40 plus years. That's amazing.
and we're finally having a baby too. So it's like, it was a good
Wow.
like
So she's 70 years old. She's about to have a child. That's amazing.
we
Congrats.
set, we set records. We try to we call Guinness Book, and
Yeah. Guinness was at your house last week.
yeah, they're cool, man. Guinness is cool, man. Not bad.
That's funny, dude. Congratulations. We're both expecting fathers, right?
Okay.
So I told everybody I was a future father for Halloween. Um,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah. Yeah.
Good.
For some people, it just like takes a second. You're like, what? I get it.
Okay. All right. Dude, that's awesome.
Do you know if you're having a boy or a girl?
Take a guess. Take a guess. It's hard. It's
Uh,
all good. Either way, man.
um, you're having a boy.
Last answer. Yeah.
Yeah. Final
Yeah.
answer.
It's a boy. It's a boy, man.
Yes, let's go. Same
Let's
here.
go. Let's go. Heck yeah.
Boy.
It's,
When's your wife expecting?
dude, December 5th. It is right there. So
Wow.
she's big right now. Yeah.
That's amazing. So my girlfriend and I are both December's babies. I'm the 14th. And
What's her
the 20th. So
20th?
we're both Sagittarius. You're gonna have yourself a Sagittarius. If
Very
you
true.
have questions or need help with that, let me know. Yeah, rambunctious, hard-headed.
That's a fire symbol, right? That's a
It's a
fire
fire symbol, dude. Spicy for sure.
spicy. Yeah.
So that's awesome. Do you have a name picked out? Do you want to share it?
Uh,
Can you share it? Is that
yeah, absolutely. James, man. Just like James Bond.
yeah,
Like
007,
007.
005.
Yeah.
We're both J's, dude. Julian is what we're going.
Julie? Dude, is it a boy?
Julian.
Dude, that's
It's a
awesome.
boy,
How far
Julian.
along how far along is and
So
what's your
she's
wedding?
doing April. She's actually at a baby shower right now, for a friend. And we are expecting April 4th. So she's literally at the halfway point right now. She's 18 and a half weeks, 4.5 months in. So we're halfway there. You're closing in. You're a month out, literally a month out. It's November 5th.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
December 5th. It's cool. The how's she feeling right now?
She's good. She's good.
Yeah?
Yeah, she's always been super, fit and just in shape and has maintained that, is working out a lot. She's not very morning sickness or anything like that.
Oh,
She's got a good appetite. She definitely struggled with energy the first trimester, but she's getting her groove on and she's good, man. She's killing it. Yeah.
yeah.
How about your wife? What's your wife's name?
Natalie. Natalie.
Natalie. How's Natalie feeling?
Dude, Natalie's good. I think I did in the last like bit, it's all this pressure on like her organs and even her back, dude. It's hard to sleep and I don't
Yeah.
blame her. Um it's a lot, but yeah. How what
Does
did your
she
wife
find
say?
it hard to breathe?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's
Just
something Amy's
pressure.
definitely been. Yeah, Amy's definitely been complaining a little bit about that. Um, Even like if we're just like kissing, right? She's like, hold on, I need a second, right? Like she's like it because I can, and I was explaining that to her. I was like, there's so much pressure and your diaphragm doesn't have the same ability to expand and push your organs down because you're maxed out, right? And she's, I think when she was younger, she had like hints of asthma and stuff like that. So definitely that's been a little bit of like an emerging issue, that and like some swelling,
Okay.
where like lymphatically, like if she's been on her feet all day, she's just got a bunch of like, accumulation of fluids in her legs, which I think is 100% normal. And it's so interesting, man. If you're in the same mindset and mind frame we were talking about this morning, it's just like so wild when you have an appreciation for the human body, like what it's actually doing is mind-boggling.
And I think when you see it on like a movie or something or see it on in a book, you're like, oh, that's nothing. But when you see it daily, dude,
Yeah.
a lot, man. And over the course, dude, 9 months, it's a lot. So how dude, big question. How do you feel about becoming a father?
So I shit my pants for like the first portion of finding out. Um, well, I just had this mindset, and I think a lot of us, obviously we are evolving slower and slower as we progress into this like futuristic lifestyle that we're living, and we're migrating into city life, right? And we've shown that statistics show that we're getting further and further into our 20s and 30s before we are meeting the person that we want to have a kid with and starting to
Yeah.
raise a family. Whereas 30 years ago, it was like you're 20, 22, 23. By 25, you're late to the game, right? So I, especially being an aspiring like entrepreneur, someone who's always just played the game my own way, I was really caught up in like, how am I going to aspire to live this life and build this company and this brand and this like legacy that I thought I had to build before finding the family. And it's like, no, those two things happen together in in synchronicity. and it's easier to get there with someone by your side. So that was the first hurdle I really had to like approach. And I'm extremely excited ever since I wrapped my head around like, why did I think one couldn't happen without the other? Or, like, why did I think they were so like, it's this way or that way, you got to choose. Once I got over that, it's been exciting. I am extremely excited. I'm happy to be able to share what I know, and bring someone into this world. And I'm joking around and thinking like 5-10 years down the future, like coaching a basketball team and like bringing the kid to work and like being able to do all that stuff is extremely exciting. Holidays, those sorts of things, right? You're a little bit more like, oh, let's do it all up. So I definitely am looking forward to it. And how about yourself? I mean, you're a month out.
Yeah, dude, I think I've had the roller coaster of emotions. Just like, man, this is really happening, and there's no like stopping this. There's no like,
Yeah.
uh, but dude, I've had some dreams where I'm like, hey, taking him out for his first drive in a car, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't even imagine that. But
Yeah.
no, it's a lot, and even the coaching thing, I'm like, man, I hope he likes baseball, I hope he likes sports and all this stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it'll be so cool just because, I mean, over time, you kind of just realize what um, what your parents went through and what they taught you and what you want to kind of lead to your next generation. And it's really cool, man, dude. I like, no one's really ready, but you're kind of like excited and just
Yeah.
nervous, everything, man.
Dude, it's such, I'm just getting the chills thinking about it. Like it is everything, right? There is literally nothing more human than making another one. um, so it is a roller coaster of sorts, and no one truly is ready. There is no book. There is no, oh, I've reached my destination. Now I'm ready for family.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. And I definitely have grown to be so like empathetic and grateful for how my parents even dealt with what they went through. Like knowing my parents themselves had 2 kids each in a previous marriage, and then they got together and had me.
Oh, okay.
And a year before I was born, not even a year, it was months before I was born, my parents were still not married and they were living in a shed with 4 other kids.
Really?
Uh,
Wow.
so where the kids all slept on the floor and my parents slept on the couch. So it's like,
Wow.
holy shit, like me thinking back to like that and then being like, how would I be dealing with that if that was my living situation right
Uh,
now? I can't even imagine, dude. I would be wildly like so much more emotionally unstable, right? And it has made me super grateful and empathetic to what they went through and like how much they sacrificed.
absolutely.
So I would assume you've had the same kind of uplifting experience with that.
Oh yeah, dude. Just talking about the gratitude for your parents. I think last month or 2 months ago, I called my parents up and I was like, dude, thank you for all this stuff. It was actually in turn after I looked up like how many diapers the average baby
Goes
uses
through.
a day. I'm like,
Funny.
whoa, thank you, good job, way to go. It was crazy. Once that number hit me, I was like, man, just that going through and teaching me the ways and like raising me right and kind of putting a good foundation to one human life kind of leads to the next. So it's um, yeah, dude, parenting, it's gonna be cool, man. I think any ideas on where you're gonna like I know you're supposed to ask all the questions, but
No, 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 no. That's not what this is, man. It's conversation.
I like it, I like it. Any ideas of what, not that you want to change that your parents did, but what can you alter a little bit?
Yeah,
Would you
what
say?
could we improve on? Right.
Yeah.
Um,
I know it's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big question, dude. It's a big question.
Not to like throw the parents under the bus or anything, but
No, of course
it,
not. And it's, dude, it's so hard. Like I grew up, and I've really, this has been a big hurdle that we're like currently going through.
yeah.
In some ways is I didn't grow up with any like religious, course to go through. I didn't grow up with any like political course.
Mhm.
Like my parents didn't take very strong stances on either one of those, although they both grew up like that.
Mhm.
So and it was already divorced families and kids coming together, right? And so I was a part of this big mix of things. So I didn't have direction
Mhm.
from that. And as a result, I don't tie my identity to any of that.
Yeah.
Um, and so like I in that sense, like I'm still trying to figure that stuff out, right? Like I don't people can talk to me about religion. I agree with a lot of what that has to offer, but I don't really understand the differences between them. I would like to think that I believe in like most of them have good moral codes that I believe in. They all have different stories as how those moral codes are, you
Yeah.
know, kind of taught. So like me figuring that out is going to be a big portion and how we're going to instill that into our kid. And we've already talked about, like, well, if we're having one, let's get the job done and over with. So like, let's have two if, within probably like a year and a half, like trying to get the ball rolling again. So it'll be interesting from that perspective. I definitely want to empower my kids a little bit more to like pursue the entrepreneurship mindset. Not
Yeah.
that they have to be entrepreneurs, but that they have to think for themselves, right? So you can take in a bunch of information and learn, and learning's not just for school, it's for life, right? And how do you take what you're learning and having open mind to everything,
Mhm.
and then turn that into like this is what I believe in, this is what I stand for, and this is how I want to move forward. This is how I want to create my life. So I would say those are some of them. Um, yeah, man, like my parents did a great job, and we did have such a community because we were a lot of kids, a big family. So I grew up just trying to keep up with all my older brothers and sisters because they were all grouped within like 3 or 4 years. And then I was 6 years after the youngest of that group.
Okay.
So I had catching up to do. I was constantly trying to.
Yeah.
Um, and then so in so many ways, like I look back and I love so much of what I was able to take from my childhood. And the last thing was like my parents are no longer together. So I watched the divorce thing happen from 14 to 24.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I say that because they got separated, then they got back together, then they started separating again, and divorce took like 3 years to finalize. It was crazy. So that's one thing that like I'm super super fearful of, and it sucks that like that stays in your head kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was more like the arguing and that kind of stuff that went on is something that I definitely don't want to expose. And like even if we get in arguments now, I'm like I get so guilty and fearful, and I'm like, oh my god, like I start talking to the stomach, and I'm like, I'm sorry, like I'm sorry we're arguing and we're like, not on the same page right now. So those are probably the three big things. Finding some sort of like crossover and bridge of like spirituality and religion and faith,
Mhm.
and higher power. Secondary to that is like the entrepreneurship, like always learn and always try to help other people, and do what you like to do,
Yeah.
to make a living. And third would be probably that lack of just confrontation and like learning how to handle confrontation better.
No, I love those two. I'm so glad you brought those up. Just the
Yeah.
empowering your kids. And what kind of resonated with me right when you were talking was kind of showing them like having a purpose is good, like having a direction to go, like no matter what that is. Like, hey, if you want to become a rock star, be a rock star.
Yeah.
If you want to be a scientist, be a scientist. All these things. And I think that's so good at an early age. To like yeah, I used to want to be a baseball player, and it's not that now. But hey, but they um helped me get to that goal, that next level of that. And just being so supportive, which was so good. And I'm right there with you with the divorce thing. They actually got a divorce way back when I was like 3 years old, so really young.
Wow.
I didn't remember it, but I just remember, hey, back and forth between houses. And,
Plays. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that would be one of the pillars. Like, hey, that's just not in the cards for me and Natalie. So um it's pretty cool to just know like, hey, we are one. We're one
Yeah.
person. We're not like, hey, you have your ideas, I have my ideas. I think we're one person, which is really cool. And it's just good to have someone on your ring side, being your sidekick throughout the journey. And it's cool to have that friend and uh, just that rock with you, man. It's so cool. So that's cool that you
Yeah.
have Amy.
Yeah, man. I was never really in any long-term relationships, and it's been so awesome to like experience, what it really is to just, like you said, just like come together and be there for each other and be a sense of support and be, you know, there's there's nothing like it. You can't explain it.
Yeah,
So it is um extremely cool. And I would assume you agree that like love is something that you build as well, right? There's always an initial thing, but that you have to grow upon that, right? And you have to, the more you go through, the more you grow through, right? So um like creating that relationship and creating that sense of unity is something that I'm extremely grateful for, and probably don't say enough to her, right? We
yeah,
probably all are at fault for that. So it's cool being able to move in that direction and be able to grow a family and build something and create something at this scale for sure.
yeah.
I was gonna say one more thing and I can't remember what it was, but yeah, it'll
No,
come.
I love that you brought up the love thing. Like, just like the community and having people around us, we got to show love once in a while. And
Mhm.
dude, and even as a guy, like I don't just go up to my buddy and say I love you, but
Yeah.
I need to do that. I think
Yeah.
um, it almost furthers your relationship with them. And like, yeah, I'm not gonna lean over and smooch you, but
Yeah,
dude,
yeah,
we can have a good bro hug. Nothing wrong
for
with that.
sure.
Yeah,
I'm a big much love guy. So I always in situations with like really close friends or people that I know have my back, I'm always like much love, much love, much love. And I hope that it resonates that way, because then some like my family and Amy are the people that I like would say I hold I love you for, right?
yeah,
Uh and it's not that it's not at that scale or whatever, but it's like much love. Like,
yeah,
uh there's a sense of like this person is there for me, that person is someone I can trust in a lot of
yeah,
ways. And what I was going to say before, and I it goes along with like growing your love for each other or growing together, was the idea of life's going to be hard and life's going to suck. So who do you want to who do you want to go through that process with? Because it's going to suck either way. It's going to be hard either way. Who do you want there for that duration of the journey? So I would assume you guys have, that for me, that was another thing that I had to like, oh, that's right. Like you can't just choose somebody and then all of a sudden life's going to be easy. Like,
I know.
not to say that, some people in your life make life way harder, right? Like you gotta step away from those people. But life itself is hard. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a walk in the park. So who do you want to take on that journey with, and who do you want to grow through that process with? So
Yeah. No, beautifully said, man. I think, yeah, like having that person with you and learning to grow with them and not just say, hey, we're only gonna go on a date night once a week and hey, just watch Netflix the whole time. But
yeah.
what I learned in the last couple of years is staying present with your partner or even the people you're friends with and family members. Like not just being like, oh man, there's 30 seconds of no conversation. I have to look at my phone or something. But hey, just enjoying their presence.
Yeah.
Like enjoying any time you get with them. Because over the course of my life, I've seen people pass and you're like, man, I wish I had more time with them. And um, just being appreciative of those times and moments. And you're like, man, thank you, I love you, or much love, anything like that.
Yeah.
It's so good to kind of step back and say those words. I think it puts me on a new level. I'm like, I'm not just a kid just going through the motions here now. It's this life thing is much more than that. So
Yeah, and you have impact, right? And that's, to give you background, that's the whole idea behind limitless theory, is that your action is a raindrop, and that raindrop has an infinite ripple effect that touches way beyond what you actually see or get feedback on. So this conversation right now can change the way that I react when I get to the red light, right? And because I don't honk on the horn, that person doesn't feel attacked and then doesn't speed off. And you don't know how that person would have reacted if they got honked at and then got to the register at the next store they got to and someone was being slower and then they paid that forward and said, hey dude, can you fucking hurry up? Like, and was rude because they were just
yeah.
on the receiving end of that and they paid it forward. And so the ripple effect is constant, dude. Like it's never ending. And the theory of like your actions and your decisions will always have an effect. It puts you in the role of responsibility. You have to take responsibility for everything that you can. And you have to be empathetic to that fact that you are responsible for a lot of things. You're not going to do everything perfect and you're dealing with it how you know how to deal with it, but it's your responsibility to get better at it if you can, and realize that everyone else is in the same shoes. So everyone else is going through it the best the way they know how to, and as long as they're open and willing to improve on that, then that's a person that deserves respect.
No, that's good, dude. You hit it again right on the head, man.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate
You
it.
got the dartboard. That's why you were a pitcher, man.
That's why. Yeah. But I can't translate it to basketball. I'm not a shooter. I'm not a shooter. I'm a passer though, dude. So it's my hand-eye coordination. Like I'm hitting you with a pass. It's like you don't even know it's coming. It's off the head. That's how I go about. People always tell me I'm like a Jason Williams kind of guy. Like I love to pass and dish. Yeah. That's my style. So it's funny how like I learned this early on in athletic training, the way that you are physically, whether it's on the court or it's on the track or it's on the field, is typically your personality, right? Like they coincide with each other. So if you're, you know, you take a look at someone's like batting stance if you're talking baseball, right? And like that could probably tell you a lot about that person's personality, right? Like Gary
Sure.
Sheffield. You think Gary Sheffield, right? And he's like, like that's a guy who's like looking to pounce on anything and every opportunity that he has, right? And he probably went through life like that. He was probably like pretty anxious guy, and he was just like, yeah, right, because he's sitting up there and he's like, what's he gonna throw, what's he gonna, whoa, bam, and he just goes for it. And it's like that's when I'm assuming you get a chance to work with some individuals, you can tell by their physique or how they hold themselves in a conversation like what their characteristics are or what part of those like 5 pillars they might be struggling with. So if you had to break down what you teach from a nutritional perspective, how would you, what are like 2 quick things that you try to tell people? We know eat from the earth. Can you give me 2 more?
Yeah, so eat from the earth. That also aligns with like no processed stuff. Just good quality protein. That's a big thing. I think whenever anybody comes to me, they're like, "Hey, I want to lose weight. I want to lose fat," but no one ever says, "Hey, I want to keep muscle." And I think in as we age, like our muscle retention just diminishes if we don't keep it there. So why not focus more toward muscle gain? Because in turn that leads to that leads to weight loss and fat loss. So having good quality protein, trying to get at least like 0.6 grams of protein per pound of body fat.
Cool.
Like I think some people overdo it and just overload, like, hey, 2 times your body weight, and it's like, dude, you can't do anything else in life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think your gut is gonna not love it every day, every night of doing that. And I think third is just, let me think. I got to pick a good third. I can't just throw
No, of course.
I would say, let me think. Whole foods, protein. So a lot of people do say, hey, no carbs, but hey, we do need carbs in there. But I'm not going to do the carb thing. The third one has to be a good one. I'm having a feeling it's got to be a great.
Well, I saw your video and it was like the whole it said something about like people thinking that they don't have to eat carbs, and it was you like kind of trolling it, which was funny because it is when it comes down to it, like we need a little bit of everything. That's why it's out there. That's why our body uses it for fuel. And and then they tell you like, oh, like I don't eat carbs. And I'm like, oh, what'd you have for dinner last night? They're like, salmon and asparagus. Oh, congratulations. You have no idea what a carbohydrate is. You had asparagus, which is a vegetable, which is all carbohydrates. And then they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, words matter, So like you gotta, don't tell me you're coming to me for nutrition advice and then tell me that you won't eat this or that. Like, you're coming to me for a reason. You're not educated. You don't even know what the word carbohydrate means. Like, not trying to be an asshole about it, but we have to educate people first and foremost, right? And then get them to understand that Instagram is not a form of a meal plan. There's like balance, and there's actually having relationship with your food and understanding like what the timely consumption of fruits versus proteins is. Like, when should I eat a fruit? When should I eat a protein? How do they work together synonymously? And I think it's just lack of education at the end of the day. So carbohydrates is a great third one. I would honestly say, because that's a big myth out there. Right? People think like, oh, I can't eat carbs. Like, yes, you're right. You should not eat 5 plates of pasta 3 nights a week. That is correct. That is not going to get us where you want to be. Yes, you shouldn't be eating Wonder Bread. Correct. That is bad. But like, is eating rice and fruits and vegetables and pasta even once a week and having a pizza every once in a while? No, it is not going to kill you. It's not going to diminish your gains. So I think that's a good one, man. Like, carbohydrates are everywhere.
Yeah, so true, man. I think people just assume, hey, one thing is good or bad, and there's not. They want to put just a black and white picture in it, and it's
Yes.
man, it's
I
too
love
much.
that. I
Yeah,
love that you said that.
dude. I think we're at this weird time where just people we're in this. I think it's a uh, Hulk verbiage like carbs bad and
Yeah.
protein good, Hulk smash, and
That's
it's.
great.
I think we it's just not that simple, man. Like there's a bunch of gray area in there. So the one thing I was thinking of to have an epic third besides the carbs is having a good gut bacteria like probiotics, prebiotics, and I'm not just saying hey go out and buy
Supplements. Yeah.
yeah or what am I? I'm blank kombucha.
Kombucha. Yep.
Yeah, don't just have that and be like hey I'm good for the week I'm good. But dude, just having a variety of foods, not just having hey the same chicken and broccoli every meal or rice or pasta. Trying different foods, man. There's hey, we're on this planet once. Try everything, man.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I think last year I was in Hawaii. There was a bunch of like fruit that one's called like a star fruit and a different type of mango. All these awesome foods. And I'm like, man, I wish I had these closer to home, but you know what? I'm here. Let's try it. Um, and it's dude, there's no limit to nutrition. Try things that work. If they don't work, don't do them. If they do
Mhm.
work, keep them and just add them to your tool belt. Have be the Batman with your utility belt. He's got everything, man.
Yeah.
And he doesn't need to carry everything, but carry the things that you need,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Um,
Dude, I like that. I like that a lot. They're just the aura in this country of like you got to eat the same thing over and over and over again is so false, and like we limit ourselves and we go to these supermarkets that have perfect pears and
yeah,
amazing apples and like perfectly cut carrots, and you're like, dude, like this is not, yes, some of these are healthy foods, but like this is not all there is to offer, and you can't eat the same foods all the time and tell me that you're actually enjoying life and that you are, like experiencing what it is to be a human being. Human being is about experience. That's what we're doing. We're experiencing what's going on around us and what's going on inside of us. And the goal, at least in my opinion, is to try as many things as you can while you're here, figure out what you love and do more of it. So there's this like stigma that we have, there's good food, bad food, Hulk smash, right? Like carbs bad, protein good. No, I mean like balance. Find balance and just create an ideology around that, right?
yeah,
For all of those pillars of health. If you want to be that guy that wakes up at 4:30 every morning, like you got to have balance and say, okay, well, I'm going to go to bed earlier. Or if you're going to be the guy that says, I don't like to go to sleep. I don't go to sleep till 2 in the morning. I can't sleep. Well, no, you probably aren't doing anything beneficial to help you sleep before you go to bed, for one. And for two, then sleep later and make the other parts of your day more productive. And like finding balance, if you're not getting outside, you know throughout the week, then don't just keep that going throughout the weekend. Go outside during the weekend. Like, don't tell me that you can't. Tell me that, like, okay, like I'll find 30 minutes on Saturday or Sunday and I'll go outside. And that little difference, that different shift in mindset of like, I'll find balance, I'll make room for balance, excuse me, can help in so many ways. So I love that you're teaching those basics of food. The quality of what you're taking in matters, right? The good amount of protein and good quality protein. Try elk, try bison, right? You're out there in that portion of the country where you can, if you drive like 2 hours east, you probably in some country, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So um, try different fish, right? How do you deal with someone who is vegan?
Um, so my wife is vegan, and I've actually,
Natalie.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, and most of the time I'm actually mostly plant-based too.
Oh,
I mean, there's a time and place for animals and stuff, and like,
yeah.
uh, I'm not like saying that's bad or good or anything, but I think um making sure there's more like protein in everything. Like
Mhm.
you can have elk, you can have bear, you can have cow, all this stuff. That's if you like that, if that works for you, dude, go for it.
Go
Some
for it.
people just have a little more issues with some stuff like that. I know in my family, my whole family's actually from Minnesota, so they were, dude, just steak and potatoes and corn, all this. It was good. It was good, and I loved it, man. It's so good. And dude, if my dad is cooking some ribs, I'm not gonna shy away from that. I'll have
Yeah,
some.
yeah.
And I don't think like one set diet is for anyone.
Mhm.
But when I work with a person who's like vegan or vegetarian, um I can just say, hey, there's different routes for it. There's a good way to do it and a bad way to do it. Like you can have, if you're vegan, you can have beer and chips and be a vegan.
Yeah, yeah.
And then at the same time, if you do eat meat, you can have pork rinds and salami and
Yeah.
be, yeah, but not
Yeah,
really have.
carnivore. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think just with everything, there's a lot of gray area.
Mhm.
So I typically think that if you do eat meat, go for like, hey, that nose to tail approach. Don't just always eat tri-tip. Don't just always eat pork chops, chicken breast. Try other things. I
Yeah.
think there's more out there that have more nutrients too. Just having like the same old ground beef again tonight.
Okay.
Uh, just going with that, and it's like, well, mix in some other stuff. Like honestly, the whole I think there's definitely nutrients in liver, tongue, spleen,
Yeah.
all the heart, and also like on the whole other side of things, like with the plant-based way, you can make it work for you. Just don't like definitely be aware with the heavy carbs because like a lot of beans do come with a lot of carbs.
Yeah.
Uh,
Lentils.
yeah, I think if I was a coach 20 years ago and working with vegans, I would say, hey, hit the road. I'm not
Yeah.
working with you. But I think nowadays there's some more, and like the whole like plant-based burger stuff. I definitely don't eat those every meal. Those
Yeah.
aren't really gonna be good for you. I think you and I agree on that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a huge advocate for like trying to veer vegan people away from that stuff because for one, if you're eating vegan morally, um, and that's one choice. But if you're going vegan and you're telling me like I don't like meat, and then you're seeking out a food that is supposed to mimic meat, those two things don't logically add up. So I'm going to challenge you on that, right? And I'm also going to point out and make sure you're highly aware of like what's actually inside of those. the
Exactly.
ingredients, the amounts of, soy and corn that are used, and how they can hormonally disrupt you in high numbers of concentration if you are eating them very consistently. So yeah, I definitely make sure that people are aware of that. And I love how you pointed out, like, there's two ways to be vegan. There's two ways to do keto. There's two ways, like, you can be Celsius Oreos and Lay's
Dude,
potato chips and say I'm vegan.
yeah,
And you can say I did keto and all you ate was bacon and eggs. And you're like, okay, well, like, there's we have to have more to this. There is so much gray area. It's
yeah.
a great point.
Nah, I think the last thing on the vegan thing, like I think there's so many foods out there. Yeah, we kind of limit this whole array of foods to like proteins, carbs, and fats, and like as long as you're kind of working toward that, like hey, if you're having some good protein, like there's others like even pea protein or rice protein,
Mhm.
stuff like that. Like if you're strategically working on that, there is a way to make that work, but just you can't just have a ton of pasta and say that's your meal. Just
Mhm.
like we were saying before, you can't just have like, oh, I'm going out for sushi with sushi avocado and I don't know, all fried stuff, and
Yeah.
just expect you to have the perfect health all the time. So it's a work in progress. Not every meal is going to be perfect, and not every day is going to be perfect, but just taking that first step on like, hey, I want to just work on protein today. Hey, I want to work on diversifying my gut, trying to
Mhm.
eat different foods. Little things can help out because no one really solves health. You can it's
No.
not a thing you solve, but
And it's not a destination because it has to be maintained, right? If you improve your health, you can't just go back to what you were doing before. You have to instill habits and lifestyle practices that maintain what you've achieved at
so
a
true.
minimum.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Um, now what when it comes to nutrition, how do you approach it with your clients?
Um, it's a lot of quality first. I'm huge on quality, man. Just
Yeah.
uh I teach based on like a pyramid of, if I'm trying to get to the apex of
Mhm.
what's possible, and I go to the bottom, then like I have to understand that you are getting good quality sleep, you're getting good quality water, you're getting good quality movement and exercise in, you're getting good quality food in, and from there, if we talk about improving the quality, then like, what do you do every day? If you're a coffee drinker, you're drinking coffee every day. Well, I'm going to attack what you put in your coffee. If we can improve the quality of the coffee you're drinking and the quality of things you're putting in it, then I know I'm tackling something that's every single day. I'm winning. What is your lifestyle like? If you are someone who gets to the office and eats a snack every day 10:30, then I need to attack the snack, right? But if you're not, and you're someone who just comes home and eats with your family at dinner, and that's like the main thing that's happening every night, then we need to take a look at dinner. What's happening at dinner? Are you getting the best quality food in uh, throughout the week? Is huge for me, and that comes down to beverage intake as well, right? So um, quality is massive. If you're taking a protein shake every day, you're like, oh yeah, I work out and I take a protein shake. Well, what is in that protein shake? Because there's very few that I'm going to actually recommend. You take a granola bar, and you have a granola bar every day at 3 o'clock while you're at work. Well, when I'm going to attack the granola bar, right? Most of the time, like, you talk to people and like you ask them what their actual meals are. I mean, there's very few people that are seeking out health coaches that are like actually eating Popeye's chicken all the time, right? Like, the people who are looking for us to guidance, are already moving in that direction of like they eat pretty good food. They probably cook a meal once a day, right? They probably do have like something like lasagna once a week for dinner. And on the other days, they're like having a good mix of like rice and some sort of meat and maybe a vegetable. So a lot of times, if I know they're eating or practicing a certain habit, I'm going to attack those habits. And if I know they're eating a certain food or like meal every week, I'm going to make sure that well, if you love pasta, we're going to make sure you get better pasta and better sauce. And if I can start there and you can say, oh, this is just as good. And actually, I don't feel as bloated afterwards.
Yeah.
Then I'm already winning. So I go quality. Then we focus quantity. Quantity can be the amount of water, the amount of sleep, the amount of a certain macronutrient. So the amount of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. So the amount of calories. You can get nitty gritty, really depends on who the person is. Most people I don't think are warranted to count calories or pay attention to that. And then from there, timing. So if someone's eating a good clean diet and they're not getting the results, they're already getting good quality and quantity ratios, then I'm going to look at their timing. Are they optimizing the hour when they wake up before after sleep or before bed or the hour before or after their workouts? And then from there, where do we fill in the gaps? If we're doing all of those things right, then we need supplementation and support to really get you to the apex. Then we're going to fill in those gaps. If you have a lifestyle that doesn't allow for a workout followed by go home and cook a big meal, then like your protein shake is supplementation. So let's make sure it's a good quality one. And let's make sure that you're utilizing it the right way and optimizing it if you are taking it in.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
That's
With those,
that. Oh, sorry. Go for it.
with those like good quality protein powders, stuff like that, it's a supplement to a good diet. That's the thing. It's not like, hey, I'll have 2 cheeseburgers, some like 1 apple and a protein shake. I'm good.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, this health stuff is easy. I'm good.
And it's funny because people, especially a lot of like, we could say 22 to 35-year-olds, right, who are really big on social media that have a lot of physical attributes that catch people's attention can get away with doing stuff like that. And tell people that it works for them. So if you just count your calories and you make sure you don't go over this many, you're going to be good. You're going to be fine. And there is science that shows that. I'm not denying that like you could count calories and lose weight no matter what you eat. But does that mean that you're optimizing your health? Does that mean that holistically your organs and your brain and your heart tissue and your skin is improving or getting the good quality nutrients it needs for prolonging your life? Probably not. So yeah, it's managing people's expectations. It's teaching them new things and making sure that they have the tools they need to make the best decision, regardless of where the situation that they end up in. And then teaching people not to judge themselves, and that goes back to the managing expectations. Like you're not gonna go from average Joe to ripped and shredded if you're not willing to put in an insane amount of work and like drop everything and like prioritize your health and your health only in 3 months. Like there's a level of like, how do we make these changes, because you watch a 23-year-old do it on Instagram who doesn't have a kid and family doesn't mean that you're 48 and you can do the same thing. Especially when you're neurotic about work and you're you're like overly stressed and don't balance that in any way. So like how do we get people to see that stuff? Is a different story. It's hard, but it's definitely worth, and it's fun learning about people in that sense, and like learning about yourself as you unveil other people. You're like, oh, I relate to that, or like, oh, I see why they did that because I did that previously, and I can help them through that in a sense.
Yeah.
um
No, that's good. I think relating to like the social media aspect, like, hey, if you see someone that looks like the perfect body, I want that body. And
Mhm.
dude, they might be going through a whole other thing that you don't know.
Yeah.
And whatever they're doing, man, at the end of the day, it's probably not going to work for you. You try that out, try one or two things, but hey, at the end of the day, do what works for you,
Mhm.
and then move on to the next. Like, try something out. Just like we were talking before, it's this whole life thing is a test thing. Hey, I don't know how I'm gonna be as a father, but I'm gonna test it out.
Yeah.
I'm,
Good point.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Give it your best shot. Try
I'm
as
gonna
many things as possible.
yeah, I'm gonna give it my all. Like
Mhm.
and you know what? That's all I can control. And yeah, it's amazing how some people just assume, hey, this other guy did it. Well, if I do exactly what he does,
Yeah.
man, I'm gonna be perfect. Everything's good. So yeah,
Totally agreed, man. It's always good to find somebody else in the industry who's not like, no, I got it figured out. I tell everybody this thing, and they all get results.
yeah,
It's like they all are exactly where they want to be. They're perfect.
yeah,
It's like, hold on. I mean, like, come on, there's so much gray area, dude. There's no way you have 100% win ratio, and everyone is exactly where they want to be. Yes, people improve, and people get better, and you probably weed out a lot of clients that came to you and you realized that won't be good for your system, and you
yeah,
you stopped it dead in its tracks. So it's funny. I don't know. The gray area is kind of where I live. Like I said, I've always grown up that way. Like my household was very much that way. Um, so I've definitely brought that mindset to health and wellness, and I try to make people feel comfortable and relate to that. Like you're not going to be perfect all the time. I'm not perfect all the time. But I know like I optimize my daily habits and I make sure that like my foundation of health is constant. And if I'm going to give myself the goal of improving, then I need to make sure those are good first. Like I need to make sure that like, yes, I do make sure I get enough sleep. Yes, I do make sure that I fill my body with as many micronutrients because of like I'm drinking higher quality coffee and I'm getting better vitamins in, and like I'm doing the little things every day that make sure foundationally I am good, drinking enough water, making sure I'm drinking it out of a glass and not plastic all the time, and eating consistently. And I don't plan my workouts. I do not religiously write down what I'm going to do. If I have time, I use it.
there you
And
go.
I know that that is maintenance. I know
Mhm.
that I'm not expecting gains and improvement. I know that I'm maintaining what I have. And if I know that I've foundationally maintained, then I can say, okay, this is a seasonal effort where I have 2 months that I know I can dedicate to adding 5 pounds of muscle. And I know that I can dedicate more time to my workouts because my clientele is a little less. So I'm going to make sure those are all good foundationally. And I'm going to make these tweaks to actually improve. Or I can
Yeah,
say, I'm going to take a month and I'm going to do very clean eating, like extremely clean, and I'm going to reset everything. I mean, I'm not going to do that during December, right? Like birthdays and holidays and New Year. And so, like, be realistic, right? Don't come to me on November 28th and tell me that, like, you want to lose 70 pounds before January 3rd because you have a wedding. Like, so make sure foundationally those things are good. And then I try to improve. I take, 2 months out of every year. Maybe it's 2 months back to back. Maybe it's 1 month, to at separate times out of the year, and I say, okay, I'm really dedicating to try to improve myself right now, and I'm going to focus on this, and I'm going to deadlift for 3 rep max 5 times a week, and I'm going to accessorize that with like real good consistent leg workouts, and I'm going to improve my leg explosiveness and strength and size. But I can't expect to do that if I'm not being consistent with that, so know that I do enough to maintain it, but I'm not actually looking for improvements. And I think more people just need to get on that level of like the gray area, fill in where you can, maintain where you can maintain, get your foundational things in order, holistically, and then you can start to level up from there.
Yeah, I love how you said you don't really plan your workouts. You kind of just go into it. You probably just know how to do everything, but you're like, hey, what does my body need now? Probably, right?
Yeah. What did I do 3 days ago? And like, if I know I am doing something specific in a week or in like 3 days, what can I do to balance that and maintain, making sure that I'm not drained,
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I feel better, I do more. And if I don't feel great, I do a little less. I don't do nothing, but I do a little less,
Sure. Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. I think I've worked with a bunch of clients, and one really cool thing what happens is when they kind of form their own workouts. And that's like my last phase of the program where I'm like, hey, I want to coach you forever, no, I don't want to coach forever, actually. Because I want
You're
you to
cool. I'd like to have you paying me forever, but, but that's not the goal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually a 6-month plan, but let's do a 6-year plan. Let's do that. No, I think that's really the cool eye-opening experience that I have when I see a client go through like, hey, how to do an actual workout and have it beneficial to them. And I think it almost comes back to the pillar of having fun, because this health thing isn't like work, man. We are working out, but it's a fun time. It's our bodies want this. Our bodies crave it. We're made to do these activities. And however you can shift your focus on like, hey, making it a fun workout, like, hey, I've never done these 2 exercises in a row. Let's see what happens. See how my body responds. And I always try to find the real motivation side of people. Like, hey, I have this one client right now. He's into hunting, and he's like, dude, I'm kind of bigger, and I have to go up these mountains, man, with a pack of like 100 pounds. And when I'm at the top, dude, the last thing on my mind is to hunt something. I'm dead, dude. And honestly, like, I'm not just throwing, hey, big, gigantic workouts for him, but learning how to incorporate the hunting aspect on him. And like, he has a hill at his house, dude. I'm like, hey, get your pack, just simulate that a little bit more. And I think in the long run, he's going to do that in the next 5-10 years. And he's going to learn how to incorporate things that are going to help him have fun with it. Because I think in like, he also has a couple kids, and I think they're going to see their dad doing these things.
Yeah.
And that kind of puts the vision onto them. They're like, man, if this guy's doing this, dude, where's my backpack? Let me throw a couple bricks in there. Let me do that. And I think it's not like always just, hey, educating people, because that can get you far, but showing them and doing the work and doing the action. And I like how you said before, just attacking one thing at a time, like whether it's the quality. I like the word attack, man. It's a good forceful word. I gotta use that more.
Came up with it on the spot, but
whoa, look at you. Nice.
Just attacking it, man. Just aggressively trying to make them realize the importance of it. You brush your teeth, right, like 2 times a day, right? That's a habit. Like, how can we tie other habits to that? Or how do we make sure that you're actually brushing the right way? Because if you're rushing for 30 seconds, you're not really doing yourself anything, right? Like, so like, how do we improve our habits? I always tell people, one of the funniest things in the world to me is how, people drive for centuries, decades, right? And they never get better at driving. I'm like, you've literally been doing this for 40 years and you're terrible at it. You have driven a car every day for 40 years and you have not gotten the hang of it. How does that work? How have you not improved at all in that?
Yeah.
That's like when I say that to people, especially clients, they're like, oh, like there's probably a lot of things in my life that I've never gotten better at because I just do them to do them, like breathing.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten better at breathing? Do you have any ability to breathe like actually deeply and like you do it literally thousands of times a day, but you don't, you're not better at it,
Yeah.
which is weird.
It is so true,
Um,
man. Heck
so
yeah.
I just try to change people's perspectives from that. Like, we have the ability and the responsibility to get better, and to improve certain things. And, don't tell me you're not getting the results you don't. You're not getting the results you want if you're not doing and you haven't tried the things that will undoubtedly be foundational for like a healthy life. So yeah, man, it's been a journey and a process of learning that and trying to figure out how to make people understand it. But it is fun. It's cool. It's rewarding when you finally get that, when you're gonna get that hunting guy to be like, I should just like go shoot around and play basketball for 20 minutes so that like I emulate, getting my heart rate up and just running around and I have fun while I'm doing it.
Right. So true.
Like get your friends together and play wiffle ball, kickball.
Yeah. Dude, all these things, they're so low hanging fruit. You can combine them, just like you were saying, dude. Get a basketball, get a pickup game going, and
Yeah.
right there, you're connecting with others you might not connect to in a weekly basis,
Mhm.
and probably you're playing outside. You're getting those good sun rays, man.
Yes.
Uh, you're breathing some good quality air. You're doing something you love. You're having fun. You're definitely improving your quality of life. That's the thing. And I think that's my goal for everyone, just trying to improve like things like that. So
I love that, man. I think you're killing it. Glad you're pursuing this because it's obvious that you have passion for it and that you're bringing a good mindset and perspective to the people you're working with. So it's been a pleasure talking to you, dude. I feel like we could probably talk for way longer. We initially said we weren't even going to go this long, so
oh,
apologize if you had a hard stop and we just kept going. I didn't even realize it.
no, it's good.
Time flies.
Right when you were talking about breathing, I was like, ooh, dude, we could open another
Yeah,
hour.
dude, we could
I was like,
open up
oh,
so many things. And that's the beauty of this though, right? Is like there's endless things to improve on and a lot of them are low hanging fruits. And there's so much to be learned about ourselves and about our bodies, and I just will forever embrace the opportunity to learn more about my body and try to help other people understand the same because it has so many answers inside of it, and learning more about it and trying other things will provide so many answers for what's going on around you and how you react to that stuff. And it's powerful. So do you have any other questions? The last thing I like to do you have a question for me? Anything and everything.
dude, thank you for asking. I want to say like 20 minutes ago, I was like, dude, I gotta ask him this question, and uh, I think we were rambling on just like having fun and stuff. But I have to ask you. I know you were posting about that rope.
Yes,
Um,
the rope flow.
dude, tell me a little bit about. I'm like, what is this thing? Tell
Okay,
me.
have you heard of animal flow? Have you ever seen animal flow movement?
I've heard a little bit.
Okay. Have you ever seen Tai Chi, capoeira?
Yeah, a couple of.
Okay. So a lot of those principles apply to Tai Chi, Capoeira, Kung Fu. A lot of those actually overlap into like rope flow.
Okay.
So the idea and the way I teach exercise is positions, patterns, performance. So what positions can you get your body into? Can you can you actually have a good breathing pattern while you're in that position? Um, Once you have a position and a pattern down, you learn a new one, and then you learn to connect them.
Mm.
Right? So put
Yeah.
someone in a position, learn to breathe in it. That's your breathing pattern. Learn another position, master the breathing pattern there. And then how can you flow between one movement and or how can you flow one position to the other position? And
Mm.
that's through movement, right? And there's a pattern to that, right? So yoga takes on the idea of I'm going from one position to the other and I'm integrating my breath into it, right? If I'm going to go back to the middle, I'm exhaling. If I'm going to open up the chest, I'm inhaling.
Yeah.
Um, so matching those things together, the idea of rope flow is the nature of how we walk is your rib cage is basically doing like a figure eight,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
And we counterbalance. So when my left foot is forward, my right elbow is forward, right? So
Okay.
left foot, right elbow. So left shoulder or left hip, right shoulder, right?
Yeah.
They work in unison. We don't walk like right foot, left foot forward at
Yeah.
the same time, right? We counterbalance. So when you learn to rope flow, the first thing you're going to learn to do is create a figure eight,
Mm.
and that figure eight actually has ties and mimics into like Tai Chi, right?
Oh,
Like you're
yeah.
holding that energy ball, Dragon Ball Z style, and then you throw it, right? So it actually, to tie it all together, is taking the principles of walking, breathing, finding new positions, and teaching. The rope is a reflection of what your core is doing,
Okay.
and it's a feedback loop for the efficiency of your movement and how to optimize the fluidness between each step and between positions. So
Mm.
if I have that rope going and I'm going right side to left side to right side to left side, I can actually take that concept and I can sprint with that.
Okay.
And I can sprint while I'm doing it, and it'll give me feedback as to whether or not I'm like short on my left foot and long on my right foot, or right. So there's a lot of ties into that. It's mostly training the efficiency of rotation, and it's a feedback loop for your core.
Oh, awesome. Wow. Thank
Yeah,
you
dude.
for explaining that.
Of course. So I
Dude.
highly recommend you check out. I can even connect you with him. My boy AJ, he is taking off with this right now. He created what's called the White Belt Academy for rope flow. So basically, he's taking you through the modules of the basics of rope flow, like
Mm.
an MMA, jujitsu, right? You learn the basics, you're a white belt, you progress, you're a blue belt. So he's creating a belt system
Mhm.
for rope flow and like your efficiency of learning. So he has all of the movement patterns in there.
Okay.
And then he teaches you module by module, video by video, how to get better and then how to flow them together. And the whole idea is you master the positions and you work through the patterns and you optimize those and then you flow them together, and it becomes just like you're just dancing and just
Yeah.
like having fun, and it all works together, and it's extremely fun. It's extremely playful. To go back to what we were talking about before, how can we combine those things? You can work out, exercise, you can be outside, you can be anywhere with a rope, and
That's
you can
cool.
have fun with it. You can try different things. So I highly recommend you get your hands on a rope or try the Rope Flow Academy. It's very well priced. I think it's like $60 or something like that. So I can send you the link to that after this. And
Yeah.
anyone out there listening, definitely go check out the White Belt Academy Rope Flow with AJ Landano. Flow with AJ.
Heck yeah. No, thank you for that. That was like my one goal. I was like, dude, I gotta ask this question. I've
That's
seen you do it. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
I feel like, especially someone who was a pitcher, I think it would be extremely helpful for your shoulder. I assume you have some sort of shoulder problem. Most pitchers do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
It's like stiff. It's not like it's a huge problem, but it's different than the left side, right? It's gone through a thousand more reps than thousands of more reps than
Yeah.
the other side. So, yeah, man, that's a great last question. I'm glad we ended with that.
Me too. Yeah. Heck yeah.
All right, tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah. So I'm basically mostly active on Instagram at just Thomas Hogan Health. You can come find me there. If you were interested in getting coached, we can always have that conversation, see where you're at and see where you want to go. Again, you can also find me on like Facebook and a little bit of TikTok. That's coming up, but it's hard. It's a good challenge. That's a fun one. But both at Thomas Hogan Health. Yeah.
Cool. And thomashoganhealth.com as well, right? Your website.
Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Obviously, me and Tommy Boy here have a lot of overlapping thoughts and ideologies on how we approach. So I highly recommend you reach out to him, you learn more, dive into his world, check out his Instagram, his Facebook, his TikTok, learn as much as you can from him. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Super glad we did this. We got a chance to meet and talk. I feel like we can definitely do another one soon, and you'll be a father at that point. So life might be a little crazy, might be a little harder to schedule, but we might be able to figure that out. And I look forward to it. I hope we can do it. If you have any questions for him or for me, reach out. You know where to find us now. As always, we are, life is limitless. Peace out.